All right, well, welcome
I am
everyone.
way down. Okay. Hey, I just noticed my monitor was way up. There we go.
So, this is Dragon Memoria, and it is a channel where you are going to watch people play Dungeons and Dragons. Usually we're three, one is missing, where I'm not exactly sure why. I received a message earlier saying that she had the electricity problem. So I don't know if it's temporary or if it's going to be for the whole night. If it's for the whole night, well, apparently we're only going to be two. But she's still supposed to be with us. I was talking with her up until 7:15 p.m. for me, Eastern time. So hopefully power comes back on and she will be able to join us before the evening is over. If not, well, she will be missed, and well, there was something planned for her because it was her birthday, but well, things like that happens. All right. So, last episode, the party decided to finish exploring the rest of the garden. Which went smoothly. No real problem, no major issues. They were, however, given several insights about how Audience's date went, as apparently a brawl erupted during the night. He defended the honor of his date. He defended the honor of his god, and a lot of people seem to have been very impressed with what he did. Other than that, our two adventurers went into the Arboretum, saw a duel between Amyali and a new fellow from the garden with a nickname, Longshot, a monk from the same place as one of our former player, Tobiyashi. And they ended the evening with a friendly duel, just to see how. Well, since everyone was doing it, why not doing it? Why not do it themselves? Sorry. So they decided to go on this duel, and if I remember correctly, it was Fisher who won the duel.
Yeah.
After that, they decided to go back to the tavern. They started to have a more quiet evening than the one before. Fisher decided to try and understand why everyone was so into eating and drinking, and decided to order one of everything. Quite literally, one of everything. And the episode ended with Fisher, audience, and most likely a few other people around them taking part in this sampling of food. And this is where we all left off. And as soon as our paladin is going to come back, we can we can start this. Oh goodness, we have to laugh at this. We have to laugh at this, otherwise we get sick. All right, well, apparently we're gonna start with Fisher, who is trying everything that he can about all these foods. And just for the fun of it, why not try and determine, does Fisher...
What happens?
Yeah. Does Fisher have a preference? Does he like better food, desserts, drinks, alcoholic, non-alcoholic? You did ask one of everything.
Mm-hmm. is a good question. Well, let's say the probably like really sugary stuff.
Oh, goodness. Hmm.
Just because how his internal systems work, it'd probably be the only thing that would actually have an immediate effect. And probably also alcohol, but Fisher's not really the kind to enjoy an impaired state of mind.
Well, if I remember correctly, anyways, Warforge are resistant to poison.
Resistant. They are not immune.
Yeah, but it's still gonna take a lot for you to get drunk.
I mean, one of everything is a lot.
Well, if you only take one taste and then you spit it out. So, audience, we are at this table in the last moment of the evening with Fisher stuffing everything he can into his mouth. Is there anything you'd like to sample on this huge buffet?
I would probably try bits and pieces of everything. I'd be curious about a lot of different things, so I'd probably try bits and pieces of almost everything.
All right. So all right. Yeah, sure. So you have all kinds of food. You have dessert, you have meals, both for breakfast, dinner, and snacks, and last meal. You have alcohols from all around the world, and since he asked for one of everything, you also have non-alcoholic beverage from all around the world. Juices, flavored water, weird stuff that you're not sure what it is. Has an odd syrupy texture to it. You're not sure if you're supposed to pour that on food or drink it. And
Fish is gonna drink it.
And you also notice that with all of these food being brought one plate after the other, there's a lot of people who are starting to pay attention to what you're doing. You even see some just looking and you know, with expectation in their eyes, wondering if you're going to share or if it's just going to be for you.
I'm gonna say with my passive insight of 9, I would not notice.
I probably would notice. My insight isn't super high, but I've also gotten used to kind of... That's something I think I would at least slightly notice after a while. Not quickly, but after a bit.
Well, especially since you're once every so often, you probably look up and look at all of the plates that are being brought to your table, and you see some people just look at the plates and...
I'll kind of lean in to Fisher, and I'll whisper. I'll be like, I think there's some people around us that are wondering if we're gonna share or are interested in everything that we're getting.
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be able to... Well, not obviously. I don't know what my limits are yet. But I'm probably not going to be able to eat all of this. But, I mean, they know it's free, right? This whole time I'm just kind of like shoveling food in my mouth.
Yeah, but, you know, everything always seems to taste better in the plate of your neighbor.
I'll kind of look around to give like a half smile at any eyes, just kind of like point to the wayforge and be like, hold up like one finger, like it's his first time.
Oh, you still see some people just nod and, oh, okay. But you see a few, especially halflings, and I believe there are few halflings adventurers, but halflings, where are the halflings? Yeah, there's not a lot of halflings in the crowd, but still, especially the halflings, because they're used to having more, I want to say, rural life. It's closer to the fields, and they're used to having food that they prepare themselves, and sometimes good foods. And it's always a good way to distract a halfling, giving them special dish from everywhere. So most of those who seem to have problem refraining from looking are the smaller ones. Halfling, gnomes, of course, because they're very adventurous. You even see one Sharoon. This one has the sandy color of his robe, and he does have a huge mushroom hat on his head, which we establish is, proportionally speaking, sort of like a sombrero-sized hat that looks a bit like a mushroom. So, do you just ignore them? A lot of people just seem to be looking away, but some are still looking expectantly at the dish that you're eating. And you can even hear one say, "What's this one that he's eating? I don't know. He's not saying anything."
Is anybody approaching?
Well, you sort of see two halfling and a gnome shyly approaching. Sort of. I'm making a quarter of a step and looking up and looking if anyone's looking, and then looking at the table and just making another quarter step and looking at what you're putting in your mouth, and you can hear that one didn't look very good. What did he take the first just before? I don't know. Go ask him.
I'll kind of I'll look over and then push a chair out if there's an extra chair at the table.
Well, you tell me. Did you take a table with only 2 chairs, or did you take a larger table with, I don't know, 4 or 6 places to sit on? You have the whole tavern to choose.
That's a good question.
Would Fisher and audience have taken a small table only for the 2 of them?
I feel like we probably took a table in the back. Although, it couldn't have been too small a table with all the different stuff that were piling on it.
Well, they probably took a few tables and pushed them all together so it fits. So you're sort of starting to have something that looks like a banquet from Asterix. A huge U shape, because the tavern is made in a ring shape on the upper levels. The one at the bottom does have a floor and center, but it sort of feels like it's there for events or things like that. So, yeah, they probably pushed a few tables together, made sure that you could at least have a place to put all this. So there's probably at least a chair nearby that you can just push.
If not, I'll just speak up. Care to join me? I'm trying everything before you have to pay for it tomorrow.
Immediately, you see the halflings and the gnomes. They all just rush to one of the chair and they start looking in the dishes. And you see a few people just gathering around and starting to look at things. And you hear someone in the background say, "Well, I think he had a good idea. Let's make it a huge celebration. It's supposed to be the last day. Come on, everyone!" And you hear, actually, you recognize the sound of a Dragonborn voice coming from a darker corner. This one is a Dragonborn with... it's a bit hard to tell. It's either white or silver. There's sort of a gray, silvery feel to his look to his scales. So it's a bit hard to tell which one it is. He does look like a very dark fellow. But other than that, he says, "Well, this is not a bad idea. Come on, everyone. Let's join in. I am sure we have at least one bard willing to turn this into a bigger celebration." You hear a voice coming from nowhere saying, "Well, is it gonna end the same way as last night?" There's a small pause, and you see a few people looking at the audience.
Audience will quietly eat and not say anything. Audience is deeply interested suddenly in the plate in front of him.
You hear a familiar voice, Tesul, say, "I am pretty sure he will behave. Now aren't you, my fellow Dragonborn?" And he gives you a gentle tap on the shoulder.
Of course I will behave. I am doing well. Explored the city today. Was interesting. Saw some cool things in the shops.
All right. Well, slowly you see people becoming more and more relaxed, and some people are coming in, and you see other people gesturing to the wardens inside the place. The wardens being the cloak figures, cloak construct figures that have been seen all around the garden. They start bringing more food, and this is slowly starting to feel a bit more like a banquet and less a last minute funeral than it was a few 20 minutes ago. So everyone's coming in, starting to eat different things. Things are starting to be placed in different orders. There's a few wardens just staying there and answering questions about where this is coming from and where this is coming from, and does this have this in it, or all sort of questions like this. So after a moment, I'd say, audience, I know you love those, but make a perception roll.
All right. 7.
All right. Well, I was about to say, just don't roll a 1, please. So, your sphere of perception is very small, but you do notice that a few people are looking at you a bit differently than the others. Some of them are just giving you a quiet cheer when you look in their direction. Some of them just... But you also see a few people just glaring at you.
Okay. I'll lead into Fisher and say, "It seems as though I have made both fans and enemies already."
Well, after what I heard happen last night, that's not surprising.
How
Although,
loud are you saying this? Are you just whispering it to Fisher, or are you saying
Not
it?
not loud. That's why I leaned in.
All right. In that case, when you say this, you feel something try to push you away from Fisher. That's a bit smaller than you are. When you look down, you see this goblin. He's just looking at you. And "Oh, pay them no mind. They're just sore about losing the brawl." And you just reach in and take something from the plate, which probably is something in your plate, and he just starts eating it and go away.
I'll go. Perhaps he's right. Perhaps I'm overthinking it.
One thing you do notice, among those who are not glaring at you, giving you some sort of respect for what happened, or at least not feeling bad about what happened, you notice that Kor, the Orcish Blade Master, is looking at you with a smile.
Okay. I'll say, I'll lean into Fisher again. I'll be like, Core's smiling at me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Fisher?
You're asking me for help reading facial expressions?
No, I'm sorry. It was more of a joke. I'm sorry. I should have. I
He
assume
seems
it
to
is.
smile at many things.
Yeah, probably something to do with the brawl last night. He seems like someone who loves fighting, so he's probably just like happy that I started a fight.
I would not be surprised. Nom 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 nom.
With bits of food falling off his mouth because, yeah, that's right.
There's
I have
no
to
tongue or
swallow.
anything to like bring it back in. It's just
I forgot to swallow again. So yeah, if you take into consideration your making, your structure, it's most likely, since there is a plant aspect, you'd probably feel more about liquids than solids. And probably things. Well, my reflex, you can choose something different. You are the master of your own design, as far as you know. But I'd say, since the inside of you is a bit of like root system, making your muscles, I'd say you'd probably have a inclination toward all sorts of juice, because they're easy to incorporate. They're easy to be absorbed by a plant, and probably things that are, well, as long as it's not acid in its taste, because it would probably harm the root system a little bit, or at least they wouldn't like it. But
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Anything sugary, like really sugary, that could be.
Things that are bitter could also work.
But
Salty, mineral tastes.
it's also kind of thing he can't, because like his organic component doesn't really hit the food until it's past his mouth. So like Like he can't like taste it in his mouth.
Well, like I said,
It's more kind of absorbing it.
Warforged designs are something very artistic, and
Hmm.
there are a huge variety of different designs. Each race has their own designs, their own elements, so you can easily find Warforge, construct in general, who have um, elements of design which feels more elven because they're sleek, because they're um, long, or dwarven design because it's a bit
Hmm.
stout, sturdy. Um, but they're also used for a very wide array of things. Sorry, including helping out in kitchens, tasting food to make sure that nobles don't get poisoned.
Hmm.
So you can easily have been built to identify different things.
Hmm.
You could have been built to go into mines and be able to warn others if there's a harmful gas. So you would have a system to analyze what's in the air.
Hmm.
So, and you already know that you've been repurposed several times. So you could have an entire digestive system to make sure that a noble that you had been assigned to wouldn't have heartburn eating his food
Hmm.
because he was picky like that. I don't know.
Hmm.
So this is why I say there's a good margin for whatever you would like your Warforge to be. You could
Hmm.
just have something very basic that would allow you to analyze stuff, understand. You could have something very elaborate. It could have been something added at one point when you were repurposed.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you could be eating and drinking things that are on the table, a bit like a duck would, or you could literally be eating things like a cow because you have a lot of teats or something similar to that inside your mouth,
Hmm.
and anything in between.
Hmm. Um, say it's more of a swallowing hole for the most part, and then it's just
Letting it rumble around in your stomach.
yeah. I feel like I can like kind of taste things that are like really have a pretty strong taste, a certain direction, but he hasn't really indulged in this since he's been sentient. So
So
he doesn't know what's going to happen.
most likely the things that would cause the greatest reaction are um, hot food or food that has been spiced in very different ways, and probably juices because of all the minerals and all the things like that that would cater to the um, plant aspect of what a warforge is, or at least the classic version of a warforge is.
Hmm.
So the evening goes
Although
down.
at this point, I'm
Yep.
definitely starting to slow down.
All right.
There is definitely physically a limited amount of space inside my body, whatever that currently looks like.
You don't know. Maybe it's been sent to a dimensional space.
It's just a bag of holding in my chest.
It's literally a bottomless pit. Literally. So the evening goes down, and you can easily see that a lot of people are enjoying this. Some might have had a reservation or weren't sure if they could actually go that far and ask for everything. But it's slowly starting to look like more like festivities. There are even a few bards who have gathered at the center of the bottom floor, and some of them are actually playing a little bit of music. So the end of the evening goes down fairly well. You do notice Valtteri coming back from... well, you assume it's from the forest because she enters the door, which usually people are coming out of when they come from the Arboretum. She doesn't spend a lot of time. You can easily notice that she is, as usual, very uncomfortable with all of this crowd and all of these people talking, and especially when she sees those that she doesn't like very much. Like Kor, who, of course, noticed her entering very easily. And most likely one or two bards, because those who are different than everyone else usually attracts more attention, which is the case with tieflings. And probably Amiali, except this time each night there's less and less people trying their best to seduce her, because they sort of get that, yeah, I don't think she's in my league.
Oh, I was gonna say they get that she's spoken for now. Or is that just in my head?
Most likely, audience just looking at it. Oh, not a lot of people are turning around there tonight. I think they got the message. And for some reason, throughout the night, Fisher, you notice that at one point, audience seems to become suddenly more alive. His shoulder goes back up, and he starts eating more distinctly. And then, for some reason, for 5 or 6 minutes, he just and starts again eating normally.
If I peek my head up and look around, can I see her?
Make a perception roll.
15.
Yeah, that's good enough. You know what she looked like, so... Yeah, you do notice her. But actually, and probably audience... Well, audience, make a perception roll. We're gonna see if you stopped at just noticing her or you noticed a lot of more people around.
I stopped at just noticing her with a solid 6.
With a solid 6, yeah, you sort of were looking around and you noticed the red-haired girl, and it's nice. And then you saw this blonde woman, and Amiali. And then the world faded. So Fisher, you do notice that there's a lot of people that, well, from what you've gathered from audience, who seem to be easily taken by women when he is seeing them one at a time. You do gather that, well, this one probably has a special place in his heart, because you notice a lot of women that he would probably feel very much interested in if he'd met them alone. You recognize, of course, the red-haired cleric. You recognize the tall woman who had blonde hair and was an archer also that you met in that was practicing. She has a very distinguished feel to her, almost noble in appearance. There is a female tiefling who is, let's say, taking advantage of more than her natural assets. She's also taking advantage of her class assets. She is making herself look like almost a dragon, as she has these large dragon wings in her back as she walks. And she walks like she owns the place.
So many girls.
Shut up! You only saw one of them.
I know.
But Fisher, you sort of see all of these women. Oh wow! If she leaves the room, he's gonna be running everywhere in every direction.
Just go.
You see an elven woman coming down the stairs. She has very distinguished look to her. You see a where is it? I can't find her. Well, there was another human one, but I can't find her on my list again. So she probably just entered and left. The audience, are you going
acting different? Just gonna casually mention. Remember, that's what started everything last night.
What started what? I don't
The
even. I haven't
fight.
even seen these people, so I don't know what you're talking about. What started?
Amiali.
Oh yes, of course. I will be careful. I will not. I'm not going to drink as much.
Interesting choice of what you're going to be careful about. I was gonna ask, do you want to do anything before the evening ends? If there's something you'd like to add, go on. I can easily play this, or otherwise, the evening is going to go down smoothly this time. And
Yeah. No, I was gonna stick to what audience originally said, where he was trying to like celebrate, but he was trying to keep lower key tonight, so he wouldn't go around and like try and make a scene or really talk to a bunch of people
all right,
because of what happened the night before.
all right. Well, that's easy to do.
Am I not here?
What?
Yeah, well, your
I
camera is having problem. Yeah, we can hear you, but your frame freezes. So
Oh no, you guys were. I couldn't tell if you could hear me, and there wasn't a response, so I was still talking.
all right. No, it was just an odd feeling. You were talking, but you were stuck in sort of a position which felt like you were looking at something beside the camera.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I could hear you. So yeah, no, if you just spend the evening awkwardly looking at Amiali like a teenager looking at the intern teacher that has just joined the teacher staff, she's not that much older than me. We've all.
I mean, if anyone came over to me, I'd interact, but I'm not gonna go out seeking people.
Well, she seems to be busy at the other side of the lower floor, and she's with her half brother. So no, she's not gonna come and talk to you. You seem to be busy eating, and she respects that. You don't know if it's the reason why she's not coming, but she seems very comfortable. She's not glaring at you. She's not doing anything that would help you deduce that something bad happened. Apparently everything went well. She's just doing her things. So the evening goes down well. There's no new problem. You figure out very quickly that you made several friends during that brawl. Some because they were impressed at the maneuver that you pulled. Some because of the bravery that you showed, even though you didn't end the fight. And you sort of notice maybe a handful of people who seems to stay mad at you throughout the evening. Some of them, when they see all the food, just they start eating food and partaking into the festivities, but a handful of them seems to stay bitter at what happened. But all in all, this is what happens during the night. So after a few hours, an hour, a few hours, how long do you plan on stuffing your face?
Hour and a half.
All right. So, after making sure your insides are very well stuffed with all kinds of food and liquids, and that when you walk you can hear this go inside your stomach, you make your way to your room. And no additional problems occur. Audience, do you follow the lead of Fisher, or do you want to stay a little bit more in the tavern?
No, I'd head back to my room when he left.
So you head back to your room, and you encounter a few of the wardens on your way. Some of the adventurers and the shop owners are also starting to make their way to the different rooms, get in your rooms. Everything seems to go down normally and well. Fisher, do you keep on going into your indulgent way and try and sleep, or do you just sit in a corner and go into your sentry rest? Make an intelligence roll. Yes, go ahead.
I think I'd sleep, because with this thing coming up and the dreams that I had been having, if there's a chance another one was going to happen because of what's happening tomorrow, I should probably just make sure. And this room is very secure, as I've seen. So
yes, it is keyed to you, and well, maybe if you had pets or things like that familiar, they might be able to enter of their own will. But yeah, so far it does seem that you and the wardens are the only one capable of entering. So all right, you go. Let's see. Make a constitution roll for me. Actually, this would be a constitution save.
Save?
Yeah.
Okay. 14.
14, all right. Well, you sort of understand a bit why people don't stuff themselves full every night like this. The first part of your night, you spend having what you believe are called stomachache. It feels similar to what people are saying. Feels like everything just wants to come back out the same way it came in. You have just been made aware of what it's like to eat too much. When you finally fall asleep, not a lot happens. You do have the same dream that you very often have. And audience, since you go to sleep as well, you also share in that dream where you find yourself inside this huge hall made of brass, gold, and silver. And now you can recognize it as being most likely a room somewhere in here. The colors fit. You recognize so many people that you've seen throughout the last few days, all around you. You recognize audience, you recognize Valtteri and Fisher. Fisher, you recognize audience and Valtteri. And if Valtteri was there, other than in thoughts, she would recognize audience and Fisher. You also recognize Eldon. who is still part of all of this, except you haven't seen him much in the last few days. You gathered he's probably been exploring also. He is a very curious fellow. And when you look in front at the warden talking, you do have a feeling that you recognize him as being the one that greeted you when you arrive. The one which everyone so far has been referring to as Ilithane. And he's the one talking. You can almost make out what he's saying, but again, it all feels completely muffled. Audience, you'd probably be looking around for other friends from the past. You barely notice inside the crowd Tobiyashi. He feels distant, sort of like he's still part of this, but most likely not part of that event anymore. You don't see Trevor. His form has just disappeared. You can't see him anywhere.
Alright.
And again, everything keeps talking, and at one point he raises his arm, looks at everyone, and when he stops talking, he lowers his arm, and you see the huge vault door behind him slide inside the wall, and everyone rush in. And again, you find yourself going through all of these things, all of these aisles made by the piles of treasure that have been hoarded there, and then you find this place which has been calling to you. And just as you are about to take this object in this place, you again wake up. Both of you. It is morning, at least you believe it is. The small orb on the desk seems to be indicating it is morning. And this is supposed to be the morning when all of this happens. You don't know when exactly during the day it's supposed to happen. You've just been told to not celebrate too hard the prior night, because it's most likely going to happen in the first half of the day. So you've just woken up. What do you do?
It's tonight, right?
You believe it's probably in the first half of the day, since you were told not to celebrate too hard. And
Okay.
you know that for organics, when they drink too much, they have a lot of trouble waking up early.
Okay. In that case, I'll head over to audience's room, see if he's up.
I would be.
Knock, knock, knock.
I should
would
knock on
open
something
the door.
metal, but I don't have anything in metal. So you hear a metallic knock on your door, audience.
Alright. I would open.
And you
Morning,
see
Fisher. Yeah, morning, Fisher.
I think I ate too much last night.
Oh, yeah, you were really going at it. I didn't know that your kind could overeat, though. But I guess that's good to know.
Yeah. Won't be making that mistake again.
That would be good. Do you know what time we're supposed to head to the event?
I assume before noon.
To
I
be
don't-
fair, I don't even know where the event is.
I'm sure I'm gonna turn around and go look for a warden construct person. Somebody in a dark cloak.
Yeah.
Made of metal,
You easily
I think.
find one. They're everywhere. They just keep walking. There's not a lot of them, but it's walk in a straight line for 10 minutes and you're gonna find one. You're almost sure.
Hmm.
And yes, you do find one. It takes a few minutes. You can even try and seal it. Oh, it takes 6 minutes for you to find a warden. He is slowly making his way into one of the halls. You notice that he is talking to Eldon.
I will approach then. Hey, Eldon. 'Cause you haven't seen
Hey,
you in a bit.
I've been exploring. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here. What have you
That
all been doing? I've heard that audience made quite a commotion about a woman. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be proud of him or disappointed in him.
feel like, well, yeah, I don't know. It was a thing that happened. I don't know a lot about it. I was in the pond.
I've heard about that also. A few shopkeepers said that there was a new pond creature.
Oh, I mean, like I told you, I like fish, so there were new fish in there. And I don't need to sleep, so, you know.
So you made friend with the fishes. All right. And are you excited about it? What's going to happen? I mean, we've all been looking forward to this. We've all been traveling for this for a while now.
Yeah, I was actually about to ask this one right here where and when it's going to take place.
All right. Um, you see the warden makes a move sort of to answer, but Eldon cuts him off and says, "Oh, it's going to. Everyone needs to be in the tavern. They're going to make a big announcement, and then everyone's going to follow one of them, and they're going to lead us at the right place. So just be in the tavern um, a little bit before noon."
Guess I can work with that. Found anything interesting around here while you've been exploring?
I've been exploring the shops mostly. Haven't been able to find my way, and he looks toward the warden. Find my way into the command area of this place. But other than that, they've been pretty open. A lot of interesting people. They're actually looking forward to establishing trades. I might be able to help them there. I know my way around the cities.
Not getting in too much trouble redistributing, are you?
Define trouble.
Danger.
No, everyone seems to be very comfortable around here. Not a lot of things to redistribute properly. They don't seem to have a lot of needs. I don't know if it's just this place or if it's what it is where they're from, but if it's so, there's probably not a lot of poverty where there are.
Yeah, this seems to be a rather well-off, well-funded ship.
A ship? So you've been able to gather a little bit more information about this. What have you learned?
Well, I mean, it makes sense. First of all, its name. Generally, I mean, it's obviously not just a garden, and been around enough boats to know when something is named. Also, the way they talk about other places seems like they travel around a lot. And, put it together.
Maybe. They did say they were going to tell us more about everything during this meeting, this gathering, so maybe we'll know if you found exactly what this is or if there's something missing.
Bet you 3 gold it's a ship.
Bet you 5.
Deal.
Alright, so from there, do you go anywhere? Audience, have you been following Fisher or have you gone your own way?
I would have tagged along with Fisher. Yes.
Alright, is there anything you'd like to add to this conversation?
No, not really.
Still waking up too early.
Not really, not that. Audience is pretty early waker. Just, doesn't have too much to say.
Yeah, it's audience soul that is a bit tired. Not that close to Eldon.
I'm not that close to Eldon, though.
But he's been tutoring you to be better with women so well.
And then he left him in the dust when he needed him most.
Yeah, he's also been abusing audience confidence by using him as a distraction when he steals, and yeah.
Yep.
So he accompanies you. Where do you want to go? Right now, it's still very early. Probably something like 8 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So you have basically 4 hours before this gathering takes place. Eldon's gonna stay with you unless you want him to go on his own. And as a matter of fact, you also meet Valtteri, who is acting a bit shy. But again, she seems to have a weight really off of her shoulder. She seems to be walking, like I said, with some weight that's been lifted off of her shoulder.
Seeing her, I'd ask her if she's seen the dog while she's been in the woods.
No, there's a dog? No, I haven't seen him.
Yeah, apparently it's kind of like you. It's like a druid, except instead of a tiefling, it's a dog.
Wow, I've never heard about this.
I didn't see it. I heard it from the gnome that we came in with.
Oh, yes. Nia.
Yeah, that one.
No, I've mostly been walking in the forest. I've met one of the Sharoon, the one that doesn't have a hat. He seems to be extremely, well, not completely there. he just goes on in the forest doing his stuff, and he gave me something, told me to keep it in my hands, and left, and came back later and took it again. But there really wasn't anything in my hands. I don't know what he was doing.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah. We passed him when we were walking around yesterday. He didn't really seem to notice us.
He's a strange one, but he is very close to nature.
Cool.
Audience, I sort of heard a bit of rumor about you trying to impress a girl.
Yes, that went well. The following actions were less, I'd say, in line with what I had in mind, but it seemed to have worked out.
Less in line?
I mean, I didn't plan to start a fight. I don't know if you heard about that at all, but
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Right. You seem to be still a little bit injured. Do you want me to take care of that? And she points toward the remnants of the black eye that you have.
Oh, sure. Thanks. That'd be wonderful.
See her just reach out to you, and she touches your cheek, speaks a few words. That actually is... I've never looked up what cure wound takes. Does it have a voice component?
I think so.
I don't know if it does.
Cure wound. Voice and sound and voice. No. Yes. Somatic and voice.
Yeah. Yes, it does have a voice.
So she does a small gesture. You hear her mutter a little prayer, and suddenly, all the stiffness in your face just goes away.
Thank you.
No problem. So I've been told that we have to be back in the tavern around noon.
Yes. That is what I have heard as well.
Alright, well, I'm going to be there then. I'm going to go to the forest meanwhile.
Let us know if you find anything cool.
Oh, I've seen a lot of different birds and a few animals, and I've even seen a few insects that I've never seen before. Look, and she takes the drawing books that she has and shows you a few pictures of these animals, insects, flying animals that she drew, and there's a few plants that she also said she has never seen before.
Very cool.
All right, well,
I mean, I'll turn to audience and Eldon. Like, well, I don't think they're going to be ready in the library yet, and I don't want to keep pestering them. So, any ideas?
How many hours do we have?
about 4. Just a little under.
4 hours.
If you want to get there a bit before the last minute, you could say 3 hour and a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anywhere we haven't explored yet?
Let me...
The only quarter that you haven't explored that you have partial access to is the garrison.
Want to head that way?
Sure. Not
Sounds
doing
good.
anything else.
Is the warden still next to us?
Yeah.
Awesome. Which way would the garrison be?
From here, you just keep on going down this hallway, turn left, go down a level, and then just exit to the arboretum. Just keep going straight. You're gonna find a door again. It's going to be the same door that you first came out of when you entered this place. When you enter this corridor, just take the first door to your right, and you will be inside one of the hallways of the garrison.
Sounds good.
That's good.
Right, so
Start heading that way.
yeah, sure.
General as well.
So you go down, you follow the instruction. As soon as you reach the arboretum, Valtteri goes on her own way and goes near the edge of the forest. Eldon, when you arrive at the door, tells you that there's a few things he'd like to take care of with a few of the shop owner. So instead of going right, he goes left. And so you find yourself alone in the garrison. You open this door, which now opens to your proximity, and you enter. You sort of understand why he hesitated just a little bit when entering, when describing what you would find, because it is sort of a hallway, but also not so much. It's more of a I don't remember how it's called in English. In homes, when you enter a home, you often have sort of a little area where people will stop, take off their boots, hang their coat, and then enter the house.
Entryway. Mudroom. Mudroom's more like
in
a
big building.
garage
It's
door.
sort of a reception, but that wouldn't be a good explanation of it. So you enter this place, and it sort of have a feel of the hallways, but you see several warden, all placed in rows on each side, going easily 30 or 40 feet long. You see after that the corridor seems to end, but not a dead end, probably a T-shape. The corridor probably has a T-shape going left and right, but you see these warden all spaced out maybe 5 feet from one another, all the way to the end of this hall. They look sturdier. Their hoods are all up. None of them are wearing gloves, however. They look a bit like the one that took Orina when you came. Bigger. That one was able to become invisible because it became visible again when it took Orina and just left. So it looks a bit like this one.
How many are there?
In the hallway? 10, 20 in total in the hallway.
I'll walk down to the T at the other end. And is it like the same thing down either side?
Oh yes, they're just there waiting patiently. When you get to this T intersection, you look on each side, and it's only a few feet before they open into large rooms.
Um, kind of reach out and tap on one.
Tap what?
Oh no, one of the wardens. The big guys that are.
Yeah, on what? Hand,
Oh.
shoulder, hips, foot.
Are they like up? Like what can I reach? Shoulder height.
Oh, you can reach everything. They're just a little bit
Okay.
taller than you.
All right, yeah, I just tap on his chest then, I guess.
He simply reacts by lowering his gaze toward your own eyes and said, "Yes."
Why? What are you guys for then?
We're here for security.
Mm-hmm. So, purely defensive then.
This establishment is not a military compound. It is for research. And so the garrison is very small. We could probably repel a sizable force, especially if we can funnel them inside one of the corridor, but this is not a warship.
So it is a ship then.
Of exploration.
Is Eldon near me?
No, Eldon went into the commercial district.
Ah. Oh, that's won that one. Do you find it boring just sitting here waiting for something to happen?
Well, for now, we are in a heightened level of security because of all of these new person coming in. But as soon as the ceremony is going to have taken place, I believe the commanders of this expedition will have more information about why we're here. So we'll know if we need to deploy everything or if we can lessen the security level of this place for a while at least.
The commanders like you?
Not all of them. However, they are significantly more powerful than us.
Oh.
The commander, Elithane, doesn't look like it. But he is capable of so much more than any one of you probably figured out.
In that case, I will make sure not to get on his bad side.
Audience, is there anything you would like to add to this? Since you are following Fisher, you are inside of a garrison and you are hearing soldiers talking.
I would probably trying to be more, while he was talking, I'd probably kind of be more trying to, like, get a look at, like, the defenses, like, how this place would like to instead of talking to them, more just like looking around and trying to gauge for myself, like what I would see as like the advantages and disadvantages of this place.
From the corridor where you are, it's a bit hard to determine. With their bulk being construct, you would imagine that they probably have very imposing features, or if nothing else, they're probably very sturdy. But as far as security measure goes, you don't see much inside the corridor. You figured you'd probably have to explore a bit more in other rooms, see if there are devices that you can see or things like that. But right now, it's sort of like, for you, it has a bit of a feeling of walking inside of a small barrack inside of a garrison. Sort of like a resting place for them to be on guard, but also there's a bit of a feeling similar to when Fisher sleeps, when you're looking at them. They might be in sort of the same sentry thing mode that Fisher has.
Okay. I will try and probably go and like check out some of the doors, see if I can get further in then.
Well, you read the T intersection where I said the corridor goes. You can go right and left, and each one of them opens into bigger rooms.
Okay. I will probably keep going, then I'll give like a nod audience while he's talking, and then like keep going.
All right.
Where the direction we're supposed to.
So left or right?
Right. So I think we were told to go right.
Well, actually, you've already gone right. This is the hallway after going right.
Oh, well, I'll go right again.
All right. So you enter into this large room. You notice several of them. You see a lot of equipment that you have a really hard time understanding what it's supposed to be for. You see small object, maybe a bit bigger than a very large dog would be. Maybe the same size as a Great Dane. So for you, it's probably waist high. These things just move around. They seem to be responding to command given by others. Other of those warden, which are bigger than anyone else. Make it easier for right now, we'll call them military warden. Until you find out if they actually have another name. So you see several of them, they're giving orders to these pods, object of roughly this size. They all have this sort of blue and black color to it. You can't really make out if there's a head or front or anything like that. You see some of them tinkering with large metal beams. These beams are sort of a brass and gold color. The end is slightly curved. Well, the whole beam is slightly curved, and the end sort of ends in a sort of a head like this. The other extremity is a bit thinner, but also ends in a bit of a ball head. And there is this slight blue color emanating from the largest end of this thing. Several of them are looking at those, sort of, you'd say inspecting them. You have a bit of a feel like when someone is inspecting a row of sword or spears. So you're not sure. Could be some sort of weapon or just some piece of equipment. You are surprised. Well, surprised, I'd say. From time to time, with one becoming visible and then another one going out of the room and becoming invisible. So there's a bit of activity, but you're really not sure what's going on here because you can't recognize any of this equipment that they're using, that they're evaluating, transporting.
I'll wait for Eldon. I'll wait for Fisher to come.
That might take a while.
And yeah, I was like, I'm gonna wait for Fisher to come and see if he knows anything about it being like a construct or if he's seen any of this before.
All right. So Fisher, is there anything else you'd like to talk about with the warden?
Yeah, just one last question. You said you'd probably be able to hold off an attack. How would this place be attacked? Because we came, as far as I can tell, came through some sort of portal or gateway.
If I understand your vocabulary correctly, any creature capable of traveling between shards could probably find us. Just like any method of transportation, if you can find a transportation circle or the glyphs relating to one, you can use the portal system that they use. I don't know how someone would be able to find those. It is not an information that we share. And so far, only the adventurers who have received this invitation have been allowed in. And once you leave, if you want to remain a part of us, you will have a method of reconnecting with the portal system of this expedition. But there are always arcane ways of finding things in other realms, in between realms.
Does that mean we're in between shards right now?
I should probably not talk too much about this because you might find it a little confusing when Elithane will explain everything. But as best as I can understand how you see this world, yes.
Cool. Well, have fun. Keep and watch. I'll go find audience.
All right. Usually we have a little break. I don't mind taking it a little bit shorter than usual since we started later. And, well, usually the member that needs it the most is not here today. So we'll just take a few-minute break. Let's say 5 or 6 minutes. Just so that anyone watching has time to go to the bathroom, get something else to drink or eat. Try not to stuff yourself, like like Fisher did. All right, see you all in 5 minutes. Bye. And welcome back. Yes, we are still just the three of us. We haven't lost anyone in between. That is always a good news. We still haven't had any news from the third member of the group, so hopefully nothing bad happened. And she's just stuck in a power out. Blackout, sorry. Sometimes I try to translate things directly from French to English, and then I realized that it was a mistake.
Both of those work.
Yeah, but one feels a bit odd when you think about it again, you know? No, that feels like a 5-year-old talking about... No. Alright. So, the garrison. Fisher was just coming out of this conversation with one of the military warden, combatant warden of the garden, and coming into the same room. Well, at least Fisher, you find yourself in the T intersection. You did not see if audience went right or left. Do you want to try and...
Of course I did. If I look down either way, can I see him?
Most likely. Make a perception roll. I'm not gonna put the DC very high.
16.
It is enough. Yes, you can actually see him when you look right. Look there, and you see him looking a bit confused, looking around in the middle of the room. So you can easily find him. And you find yourself in front of the same spectacle that audience found himself a few moments ago. You see a few of these wardens walking around. Some of them are just vanishing, and then you see another one appearing. There are those huge contraptions the size of large dogs made out of blue and black metal that are just moving about. You see them taking care of these long metal beams which end curved with a slight glow at the extremity. You see them everywhere. It does feel like you're watching not necessarily military officers, but at least some sort of militia taking care of equipment. You, however, have no clue what all of this equipment is for.
Figured out what this is yet?
No, I was actually waiting for you to see if you knew anything about it, being a construct and all.
Doesn't look familiar. Can I do like an Arcana check or something?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, dope. 23.
Wow. So it's difficult to be able to identify properly what everything is, since all of this feels very alien to you. To give you a good comparison, it would be like someone from the Roman Empire walking in a military barrack from today. Half of what's in there, you have a really hard time understanding what it is. Some of them you can actually recognize as probably being some sort of weapons. There are large blades. Sorry, audience. There's no tabaxi in here. You won't be able to do that. So, some of them looks like large blades, but they're fixing it to themselves. A bit like if there were retractable blades fixed on their arms. They're taking care of a variety of device. Some look small and round. You say that it is most likely some sort of explosive that can be thrown, or at least something that you throw that will have an effect. But you can't help but look around and say, well, grenades on ships is usually a bad idea, so it's probably not something as obvious as this. You have the feeling that some of the devices, the large one, which are just moving around, feels like things used for protection. Some sort of protection cover, dampening device? You're not sure.
Stuff's all. I've never seen any of this before. I mean, military, combat equipment.
Interesting. Yeah, this
No
is
idea
all
what it does.
This is all definitely above the martial weapons that I know.
Yeah. That's although maybe if we join, I can ask them about getting one of those arm blade things. Those look cool.
Maybe. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Although they seem to be not big on sharing stuff, so we'll
see
about that.
I mean, once we join, our clearance level should go up, but they still won't let us use things from other worlds. I think was really their big thing, is I don't think they want the worlds to mix.
Yeah, makes sense. So this is definitely making me a little more uneasy. Them having all this military stuff, being the research expedition that it supposedly is.
Maybe, but you also have to think, I mean, if they have so much knowledge from all the world, I mean, they need some way to protect it, as if it fell into the wrong hands, it could be devastating.
Yeah, I think makes sense.
And I haven't seen any signs of aggression from them, so I mean, it's always good to have some kind of deterrent.
Yeah. But yeah.
Do you want to keep going, or?
Yeah, you want to see what's the other way?
Sure.
Turn around.
So we'll
go back.
Head back.
So you go back in the intersection and you go left. You find yourself inside of a large room. This one seems to have a place at the center where nothing's happening. You see a variety of what looks like weapon, but made for a large size creature, set on the walls. You do see one slightly disturbing thing in this. At the center of the room, you see one of the large warden in front of Core.
The orc?
Kor has his blade with him. And you see the large warden in front of them with his hand in this position. And he gives him a bow. And Kor gives a bow. And you see both of them jump at one another. The first... yeah.
No, I was just gonna say I'd probably like turn to Fisher and kind of like lean back into the wall, like look like we should watch, like observe.
Yeah.
So the first strike that you see Kor gives off a lot of energy. You feel the energy hit the warden and then hit the ground itself. There's a small tremble in the ground when everything hits, sort of like a thunderous blow that just came out of the impact with the two. The warden blocks it with his arm. Just brush it aside, and you see the other arm go in for a punch. Kor dodges it barely, turns around and try to counter-strike the warden, but the warden managed to throw a punch that he really didn't see coming. Kor is thrown literally off his feet, a few feet in the air, but he manages to remaster himself and fall on his feet, sliding a few feet when he reaches the ground, and then throw himself at this huge warden with a fairly blinding speed. With a single jump, he covers the maybe 20 feet that has been made between the two of them, and he managed to land a blow. The blow cuts through the cloth of the warden, forcing him to take one step back, but just as he takes this step back, you see the arm which was opposed to this when Kor arrived on one side, struck him. The other arm just seizes him as he passes and throws him away, as if it was a rag doll. Again, Kor managed to stabilize himself in midair, fall back to the ground, and you hear him utter an arcane command. You see his blade flare off with energy. He gives a large strike, and you see this thunderous mass of energy emanates from his blade, hits the warden. The warden takes a few steps back, and then repositions himself, places his hands in front of him, bows down. You see Kor relaxing, and you hear him, "That was interesting. You definitely hit hard. We're gonna have to go at this again." And you hear the warden say, "Anytime you feel like it. Of course, only if you decide to stay." And the two walk in different directions.
Interesting. Are any of them walking towards us, or are they walking in separate?
As far as you can tell, no. Right now they're not, but they won't have much of a choice because you only see one other exit, and the other exit seems to be guarded by a large warden. So, and the door is closed. So, unless Kor has a higher clearance than you have, he's gonna have to walk by you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I'll just walk in. I'll walk in normally then, like we.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't really think we have a choice.
No.
So you walk in, you look around, then you hear Kor say, "The whelp and the toy soldier. What are you doing here?"
we are just exploring, trying to see the, what this place has to offer.
Many wonders, many wonders.
I saw that you're here training, perhaps?
Actually, I am. Yeah, there was a bit of that. I was eager to see what these construct were able to do. And apparently, this commander of theirs, Elithane, is even more powerful than this one was.
Finally found somebody who's better than you?
I don't know about better, but definitely interesting.
Well, I'm glad
Oh,
that
maybe you...
something interesting.
Hey, go ahead and fight him to the death and see if he is better.
I don't have any reasons to fight him to the death. At least, not for now.
Found anything interesting in here? Other than a fight?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of interesting people. Strong combatants. Promising ones. And he looks at both of you when he says that. But then he looks away immediately. Could maybe find a bit of a secondary home here. You never know. And I am very eager to see what has been calling me. If it's as interesting as everything in here, and he is just looking around the room, everywhere, sometimes stopping at one device or one weapon that seems to be made for him, but proportionally speaking, it's probably something as insignificant as a dagger for one of those huge wardens. I am eager to see how this all plays out. Few interesting people. There is this other Dragonborn fellow. He seems a bit mysterious. The one with the gray scales. There's a Stortle fellow. Very jolly fellow. Interesting one also. And there's that monk. Oh, she seems to have caught the eye of this young one here. He looks at you, audience.
I'll just be like, perhaps. She's an interesting one. Fought with her a few times, quite skilled.
You have actually fought with her, huh?
Yes. When we were not actually once we were here, when we were traveling here, ran into some cultists, and she took them down when I was in a tight spot.
Oh, you mean she helped you? Oh, alright, I understand now.
I had it under control. She lent a helping hand, though.
Sure. Well, I mean, you did have enough guts to try and impress her. I can't give you points for smarts, but can give you points for courage.
Smarts can only take you so far in my book.
Yeah, I've heard someone say that before. He's not alive anymore. Well, good luck to you. But I wouldn't put all your eggs in the same basket. I'm pretty sure you'll find someone a bit more your level in time.
You as well. Hope you have a good day. I won't respond to the other comment.
All right. See you later, whelp. Toy soldier. And he leaves.
I hate that guy.
I'll say I think we might be growing on him.
Oh, as long as he doesn't just murder me as soon as we leave. Which he said he didn't, so he probably won't. But I'm not looking forward to that fight anytime soon.
Nope. I said after seeing what he did with the construct, I definitely don't think either of us would stand much of a chance against him.
I'm sorry, did my fight with him not give you that impression?
It was harder to tell with everything else going on.
Uh-huh.
That I think we were able to see him more at his full strength.
That's fair.
Fisher, make an intelligence roll.
10.
Ooh. Well, you're not sure why, but you did notice one difference. When he fought you, the runes on his glaive were not glowing. In this fight, they were.
Mm-hmm.
Why, you're not sure. With a 10?
Uh-huh. Well, that seems to be all there is here. So, unless you want to see if you can swing around one of those big old swords over there.
I'll look at it. How big are these swords? Like, I'm 7 feet. How big are these swords?
Well, even at 7 feet, you're still considered a medium creature, although you are at the limit of what a medium creature is. I'd say even for you, it's a bit large, because these combat warden are considered large creature. So it's a blade for them, which means you're looking at this, and for you, this looks like a hefty great sword.
Hefty great sword.
For them, it's probably the equivalent of a long sword, maybe short sword.
Alright. I'll be like, I'll give it a try. I'll walk over to one of the swords. I just want to feel the weight or stuff.
You take it off the wall, and immediately you feel this huge weight. It is heavier than a great sword is, and the balance of it feels like, for you, it would be very clumsy to use. With great swords, you're used to having both of your hands on each side of the handle and be able to use this distance between your hand as a lever. For this, the way that the weight is distributed in this blade, it really reminds you of a one-handed sword. So it feels like it would ask you a lot of energy to swing it, and you'd have a very hard time stopping it in mid-motion should you miss.
I'm gonna give it one swing anyway, just to see what it's like.
All right.
Is there anything that looks like I can swing at that like I can test it on, like in there? That they're not gonna get mad about.
Like a dummy or something?
Well, it's a bit hard to tell. Yes, there's something you could swing at. There does seem to be things made to be hit. You do see large sort of pillars with scratches on them, so it's probably something made to hit. You don't know if they're gonna get mad if you hit it, though. But it feels like, yeah, they might have hit that a few times.
I'll hit the pillar. I'll take a swing at the pillar because I'll see the scratches and I'll assume that that's something then that you're allowed to hit.
Make an attack roll. And since this weapon is really not made for you, I'm gonna say make it a disadvantage. And just tell me the result.
Okay. Okay. 11 plus. Is it just so? It wouldn't be my proficiency. So it'd be
Yes.
plus.
Well, it's sort of a sword, and you're used to using swords, but the disadvantage comes from the fact that it is really not at all
Okay.
balanced for how you're using it. So you
Okay.
can have your
Then I got a
proficiency.
16. I got a 16.
So, like I said, it feels like you'd be able to get how to swing with this after a few, maybe an hour or so, just hacking at something. Um, when you hit this, when you hit this pillar, you do see a little scratch, but you can't help but to look at that little scratch that you just made, and look at all of these hefty scratches almost biting inside of the metal above and below yours, and feels like you know you're pretty strong even for a Dragonborn. They're probably stronger than you.
All right. I'll put the sword back. I'll walk back to Fisher. I'll be like, little too big for me. They good. You know, I think it's meant to be a long sword, and it's hard for me to use as a two-handed greatsword because the weight's off.
Not quite your style.
I mean, I'll fight with great swords or long swords. It's not that's not my style. It's just the weight's off. Wouldn't be an easy, really weapon for me to use in actual combat.
Surprised you didn't go for like just go straight for the biggest one.
The biggest sword?
Yeah.
Is there a bigger sword?
Well, you're not sure if it's a sword. You'd call it a glaive. But taking into consideration the difference between you and them, it's probably some sort of a long sword. But
Do
for
they have
you,
any
it's a
great?
for you it's sort of a 9 foot long glaive.
I'll be like, I'll look at it. I'll be like, I don't think I could. I don't think I could use that. I could probably lift it, but I don't think I could use it very well.
We'll give you 2 gold if you can hit the dummy over there without falling over.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'll take the challenge.
All right.
So I'll go back.
I'm gonna have you make a strength check.
All right. That's what I thought. 18.
18. That's enough. You do take it into your hand. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. It feels like you're falling into the category of what ogres would use to fight. But, you know, it's not so bad. I mean, yeah, it has a lot of room. You can swing it. And really feels like you shouldn't be swinging in the air because you might just spin off of control. But you can lift it. You can swing it, as long as you're swinging it at something.
Alright, I will walk slowly over to the dummy, and then I will, using mostly just the weight of the blade, more than even my arms, just kind of like almost like drop it, but like take a swing off my shoulder at the dummy.
Make an attack roll with disadvantage.
$11.
Ooh. Well, you manage to lift it, to swing it at maybe your hip height, but when you hit it, you really feel like, oh, there's something I didn't understand about this, because the way that it hits the dummy, it starts reverberating, and you feel it all inside of your body, and it really hurts because it feels like you've just tried to hit a stone wall with your sword, and you really didn't hit the wall well.
Alright. I'll kind of like grimace, but I won't show Fisher that I grimaced, and then I'll kind of bring the sword back, and I'll be like, well, I hit it without falling.
So, Fisher, I would have you make a insight check.
Oh yeah, I'm so good at that. 3.
Oh, wow. Well, you lost your bet. As best as you can evaluate his body language, you lost your bet.
Oh, it was worth it.
You can keep the gold though.
No, it's fine. I'm getting 5 from Eldon when I see him again. So
I'll look at your purse size though compared with my purse size. I'll be like, no, it's fine. Keep it.
8. I made a bet.
A bet is a bet.
All right. I'll take it.
Now you know his weakness. If you make him bet, he is going to do it no matter what.
Because I needed
It's
that
not a
2 more
weakness.
gold to my
I can stop whatever I want.
Oh yeah, this is now 2 bets. I should realize that Eldon, Fisher's starting a gambling problem.
Started.
Well, and from the fact that he just gave you 2 gold, you really were able to see that he has no clue how a Dragonborn's body reacts under pressure. He's never taken the time to really evaluate the physical response of an overwhelmed Dragonborn body.
Which is surprising how much time I've spent around them.
Alright, I said we should probably head back and get ready for the ceremony.
Yep, sounds like a plan.
You can get your 5 gold from Eldon.
Well, I'll start heading back.
Yeah.
Right. So, taking the time that that it took you to get there, and the time that it takes you to go back there, because I've actually drawn the garden, and now I know exactly how long it takes to get from one side of the arboretum to the next. So yeah, you get back to the tavern, and it's maybe you're early, maybe 3/4 of an hour, but all in all, going to the garrison and coming back, roughly an hour and a half, and all the things that you've done, explored, and so it's roughly 3 hours. It's gonna happen in 1 hour. You start seeing a lot of people gathering around, and you recognize everyone. You see Valtteri in one corner, sitting, looking miserable. You see Eldon looking at everyone, looking not miserable, and you start seeing everyone just one after the other coming in. And this is the first time that you only see the wardens and the adventurers inside the tavern. You don't see any of the civilian people in there.
I'll go up to Eldon and just kind of stick my hand out, palm up.
Why?
And I talked to one of the bigger ones. He said it was a ship.
I wasn't there.
The worst. Is there a warden nearby?
Yes, it's only wardens and adventurers right now. However, you don't see any of the combat wardens. You only see the wardens that you've been seeing so far.
I guess I can wait. I'm sure Illithane will explain it to you later.
So you take a seat and you wait. See a lot of people coming in. Maybe half an hour before everything starts, you'd say that there are easily 40 people right now inside the room, and they all look like adventurers. And you can see everyone that you've seen so far. Only a few are missing. You don't see Amiali inside the room yet. You see Kor. You don't see Tesul. You see both of the Sharoons that you've encountered. You, however, hear at one point this sound resonating throughout the entire tavern, and from the how it feels like it resonated throughout the entire garden. It's sort of a low rumbling sound that echoes a bit. And a few moments after you hear this sound, of course, there's a few people just looking about. Some of them are getting nervous about this. Do you want to do anything about this?
I'll kind of look up and look at the wardens to see it to gauge their reaction.
The wardens are not reacting to this.
All right, I'll assume it's something that they have planned then, so I won't worry about it.
Okay, Fisher?
Does it feel like this is the result of the garden moving?
Make a perception roll.
Yeah, that's better. 17.
No. Doesn't feel like the garden would be moving. Even a ship, you feel like you'd at least be hearing an engine if it started moving. Or feel a tug if they're using some sort of sails. Feels like something closed.
Okay. Probably just preparing for the whatever it is we're doing.
It takes only 2 or 3 minutes before you see one of the warden coming in front of everyone from the door that people usually coming from the arboretum come from. And he walks toward the center of the platform on the bottom level. He looks around. From his demeanor, you think it's probably anything. He does have a way of walking that feels like, oh, this guy is in command. He looks around. Well, everyone's almost seems to be here. Do not fear about the sound that you've just heard. It is simply the closing of the portal that was where you all came through. It is the end of the first challenge. As I'm sure you've all been eager to see why you have all been called here, and why called to this place, which led you to this expedition. That was the first challenge. Not a challenge set by us, but by something else. Something which has decided of its own will to take root in this expedition. As soon as everyone comes in, I will start giving the explanations that you are probably all are wishing to hear. So be patient. There's only a few minutes. If you wish, you can have something to drink while you wait. And he just stops talking and stays there in the middle of this podium at the bottom level. You see a few people going to get something to drink. Some get bigger pints than others, especially dwarves. Everyone just settles in. You see the last remaining member of the adventurers that you've seen gathering in. Takes about 20 minutes for everyone to enter, settle in. You hear a lot of people talking around you. Some people are worried. Some people wonder what's going on. You hear someone, "Do you have any idea why we're here? Have you found out anything?" No, I don't. I haven't heard anything special. I've heard they're here for protecting something. I've heard they're looking to acquire something. I've heard they're just here to study us. You know, us. As in us. So there seem to be a lot of different opinions, and a lot of it doesn't seem to be centered on a single point. You can't make out something that would feel like everyone is in accord. Feels like they've been pretty quiet about the details of this.
Mm-mm.
Do you want to talk to anyone or add anything?
No, I'd probably go sit by Valtteri and just kind of wait. So,
You approach her. As usual, in large crowd, she seems to be very uncomfortable. She does show a little sign of relief when someone she knows arrives and gives her company. Oh, you're here. It's
yes.
It's a bit nerve-wracking.
I mean, this is what we've been waiting for, though. This is why we came.
Yeah. Had anything new insight? Any new dreams?
No new dreams. I mean, the same, like, I guess, that we've already had. The reoccurring one, but nothing new. So at this point, just waiting to kind of hear it all. See what Ilithane has to say.
I've had a strange encounter with the Sharoon that I talked to you about. The one that doesn't have a hat. He seems to know something. He told me that I had one more dreams than the other, but he didn't elaborate and he just went off.
Interesting. Well, I don't know what that would be, so.
I don't know, maybe he was talking about the dream that we all had in the cart. Did you find out if anyone else had that dream?
I did not.
I thought we were keeping that under wraps.
I know, but he sort of just figured it out. He just looked at me, looked at my head, looked at my horns, and felt like he was watching if I had fleas. And he just blurted out, "Oh, you have one more dreams in your head than the others." And he just left.
That's weird. Or interesting. But no, I've not found out anything. I think most people are kind of keeping their dreams under wraps. Besides heard a few more about the reoccurring one, but nothing else.
Alright. Alright. Well, we'll see what all this is about. And she just goes quiet again. I probably made her talk a lot more than she does usually. Alright, so 10 more minutes passes and feels like it's about time. And maybe a few minutes after you think that, you hear anything. At what level of the tavern are you? There's the floor level, and there's 2 other levels.
I'd be at the floor level, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could have wanted to be on a balcony. So, you watch the thing, and, well, I guess we're here, and this is the moment. I am sure you all have a lot of questions, and I know many of us have stayed very quiet about the informations regarding all of this. The first reason was we just didn't want to have to repeat this every few days whenever someone else came in, and felt a little bit easier to just wait until everyone was here and talk about all of this. We're also not sure about some elements. Some of this is mysterious even to us. The most mysterious one being why it all happened. But gathering from all of the information that the other wardens have told me, a few questions keeps coming back. Yes, we are a exploration expedition. We are here to learn more about different worlds. And yes, your world is one of the more unique ones we have encountered. We are restrained by promises we have had to make in order to visit it. These promises are to make sure that we do not influence your world beyond what has happened. Some elements you will learn on your own in time. Some might remain mysteries for the entire duration of your stay here. No, we will not be staying here forever, but for a while. Most likely for a good while, as there are a lot to learn. The second question we have heard very often is what this place is. As some of you have gathered on your own, this is a structure capable of traveling between what you call shards. Some of you have called it Flying Fortress. Some of you have called it Intershard Traveling Ships. All of these answers are good. They're not wrong. They're probably not exactly right. But yes, you could call this place a ship. Fisher, you hear? Oh. The third question we get asked a lot is, why are we here? And I guess this is what you are all about to learn. If you will follow me, there is a room that, as I have gathered, you have all seen, that is waiting for you. Please follow me. And he starts moving toward one of the exits.
I'll follow him, like he asked.
You see
I'll
a lot
swing
of
by Eldon on my way as we're following him. Told you.
Yeah. Well, alright. He goes into a pouch and hands you 5 gold.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Doesn't mean I won't steal it back. And he starts walking just a little bit faster. Do you want to make an insight check?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Eh? 12.
12. It's a bit hard to tell. Yeah, it's a bit hard to tell. But you think he was teasing. You think.
I'm just gonna casually have my hand on my coin purse as we're continuing to follow Elethane.
Alright. So you all keep moving. And you hear a lot of the different people in there. Some of them are feeling a bit uneasy about this. You hear a few comments of some people saying, feels like we're being herded toward our doom. Some people are completely excited, and you just hear comments saying, I really wonder what's gonna happen. I've seen this in my dreams. I hope it's gonna be the same. So you get a lot of mixed response from everyone. It takes a good 10 minutes of walk, just following Elethane inside the different corridors. And you find yourself in front of a door, which you think is the limit between the residential area and the command area. You do hear a few comments, a few whispers saying, I've never been able to go there. I know, all of this area is closed to us. You just see Elethane raise his hand, touch the door, and you see the door dissolves, pretty much like the doors on your quarters. You move in, you follow, and you're led through a corridor that feels a bit different in that there's really no decoration. In the other corridors, you could see from time to time a potted plant. It still was pretty sparse. Really nothing fancy anywhere. Plants, maybe a small sculpture of something you have no clue what it was. But here, it is just an empty hallway, and it leads to a large room. Elithane just enters that room and goes to the other side. And you recognize this room as being the room inside your dream. You recognize the very large hall on each side, round in shape, with these little faded light, which now you have come to know as these glowing orbs providing light inside the different corridors. Everyone just piles in, and for a moment you have this huge feeling of déjà vu, where this is exactly how your dream starts. Everyone is exactly where they are inside the dream. When you look beside you, you see Fisher, and you see Valtteri. Oh. Fisher, you have the same reaction. You just look beside you and it's audience, and you look beside you and you recognize this human. It's the human that's always standing next to you, that you've been able to recognize since you've been able to enter in here, in the garden. And you see Elithane in front of everyone, and he starts talking, and for the first time, you can hear what the muffled speech was. I am going to give you the choice now. We can end it here, which is exactly the time of the stream, or I can give the speech.
We probably should end it to give...
I don't want to.
Yeah.
But because she's not here,
Yeah.
I feel like it's only fair.
I feel the same way. It's like I want to know, but I also feel like we should stop because of the fact that Valtteri's not here. Give her a chance to hear the speech along with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Very well. Then
And it is on.
Yeah, very well. So the next episode will start with the speech, and hopefully Valtteri will not have problem with the power where she lives. Because I'm not stretching this any further.
Yeah, I don't think we can. The speech is started.
No. So, for those who were hoping that the speech would happen today, well, sorry. But again, if it helps the group being all there, maybe I'm not sorry. So, thank you for watching. Sorry for the strange beginning of the stream. We were not sure if there was going to be a stream at one point, but there was one, and so I hope everyone is a bit happy about this. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed the show, you can always support the stream by following us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also support us by making a donation or becoming a patron, or, as always, simply by spreading the word of the channel. This can help a lot. And also, I want to add to this, if you leave a comment in the YouTube, on the YouTube of this channel, I am not someone that answers very quickly. So, I don't know who it is. Someone left comments, but you erased them after 2 days. So if you really want to leave a comment, just leave it there. If you want to say something that you like, that you didn't like, if you want an answer, leave it there. Don't be ashamed of your comments. I will answer them, especially if you ask a question. If it's just to say good job, thank you. So this is it. This is all I have to say for tonight. Thank you, everyone. I noticed that we have several new followers on Twitch, so thank you very much for following us, letting us know that you enjoy watching us live or after. Just letting us know, it helps a lot. So thank you to everyone, and as always, especially for now, stay safe and healthy, and see you all next Wednesday. Bye.
See you. Bye.